Questions, questions, questions. Get your questions in. Some time for some questions, so make sure you put those, drop those in. Welcome in to everybody who's just joining us and coming into the fray today. Appreciate you guys being on. And we talk about Apple and what we think about it going to 237 for sure. I'm glad you asked that. That's actually going to be what one of the things I'll talk about. Tesla, we'll talk about that. Marvel at 60. Let's do some analysis on it. I think I like it there, to be honest with you, but I do want to take a look. I think the price is honestly in between 50 to 60. The price is right. What do I anticipate for QQQ the rest of the week? I got you on that. Hopefully, all's well with you, Mr. Moore. Yep. But yeah, Marvel between 50 to 60. I'm going to pull my notes up here in a second and we'll also look at it. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Right. So everybody should be on. Let's go ahead and hit this record button. And yeah, we'll cover Boyle again. Winter time is obviously here. Unfortunate. Won't be able to do the DC. I ain't trying to get stranded. You guys know where I live. They'll shut this whole city down. I won't be able to get back till next Wednesday if it really snows for real. So unfortunate on that, on this weather. But Cleve's in the building. Let's go ahead and get this party started. We're gonna actually kick things off with Apple. So let's talk about it. If you've seen my IG this weekend and you came to class, you would have already known what our thoughts was pretty much on Apple here, right? So when you are anticipating two things that I want to highlight, right? So asking me about the 237 level, which you see right there, right? You can see that pretty much clear as day. So to me, I look at it and say we're definitely going there, right? So when you are looking here, Apple, to me, I would highlight that personally. I think it's pretty much a go, right? It's going to head down there. Now, to combine this with Mr. Moore's question, right? You are going to be able to see two things, right? And go to QQQ real quick. My thoughts on the Qs is if we get below this 602, we draw down to 596. Of course, when you look at the top holdings in the Qs, no surprise, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Alphabet, Meta, and then you got Broadcom here. Broadcom's obviously slipped a little bit. Tesla has taken their lunch and as well as Alphabet and Meta Platforms. So Broadcom is sitting here. And Micron is right here on the heels, right? They passed Palantir, but that was obviously because of Micron's movement, right? So these names can always be shaken up here at this time. So when you are looking and analyzing, particularly here on Apple, I do think it is possible that we do see that 237. I said this before, and I just see a weakness that's just building here, particularly on Apple and as well Microsoft. I am looking at MSFT, especially now. I'm like, okay, well, Microsoft is looking more and more weak. If they can go down to the 440s, that's pretty much where I predicted them to go. So I'll be looking for Microsoft to actually go down there. Some other names that I wanted to cover for today. And this is the downside, but plus the exciting side, right? You got two sides that play out, right? The part of you that looks and says, well, damn, market's coming down. But then you also have to look at to me because I look at it and say we're not breaking that 626. I've been saying that on every zone for like the past month where we haven't gotten above that 626. So the Qs are just a bit exhausted, right? We're a bit exhausted here. Where to me, I don't see the clear path to the upside where we're actually going to easily be able to actually break back over, right? On that 626. It's hard to imagine that you're going to easily be able to just break out and continue to push upward. So we're still struggling. Even here, I wanted to bring up Oracle, right? Because when you have a game plan, and for those that's in the chat right now, right? What are you looking at, particularly here on particularly here on Oracle? What's the price that you want to get Oracle at that we've highlighted for an extended period of time here on Oracle? What's the price you want to get Oracle at, great people? What's that price? What's that price? 120. Yes, sir, Mr. Francois. 120. So you're about 60 bucks away from getting that, Mr. Blunt, right there. Appreciate that. You're about 60 bucks. iPhone just came out, I think that's Joe, right? That's the price that you want to actually get the name at, right? So when I am looking at at these specific levels, I'm like, man, Microsoft, obviously Oracle. I even seen it in the cloud. I'm like, well, geez, even CRM, they got cleaned up pretty bad today. I'm like, well, dang, they closed below this 227. I said, CRM ain't playing around. So you're seeing, and we've seen this sell setup develop for a few months where things are just a bit exhausted in certain areas of the market. We covered Netflix a little bit earlier, and we'll have some time to dive in a little bit deeper into Netflix. But I don't trust those names, right? So I have, some of the cloud computing names. I have Microsoft looking, which will have earnings here soon. And a major part of the run up was the semiconductors. Anytime the semiconductors show a bit of weakness, the market pulls back. When they show true strength, the market runs. But now you got your cloud computing names. You got Meta, which is slipping. SMH obviously hit 400, but just had a red day. They're already up. TSM was down 15, but still TSM is still at a high. Tesla obviously pulled back. Apple, anytime you see selling on Apple, that's when you know, okay, the selling is a little bit for real. The NASDAQ itself today was down 400 plus points. The NASDAQ alone. Now, we understand how high the NASDAQ is, so 400 plus points really isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. But then you also have crypto stocks, right? Coinbase and MicroStrategy back now. Coinbase looking like it wants to potentially drop further. We already have our levels. What's the level for Coinbase? What's the level for Coinbase? What's the level for Coinbase? Coinbase, not Bitcoin. Arlette and Steve and good brother Daniel, good to see you in the building tonight, my guy. Right? 120, 140. Correct. So the selfish part of you should be, I mean, in my opinion, you look at this and say, okay, let's say we do get a rocky February and March. Obviously we're approaching February here soon. No different, it'd be no different from last year. So if things get shaky and rocky, which we can kind of see a little bit building here, specifically on the charts, you're seeing a little bit of that shakiness actually build, right? You got Coinbase, you got MicroStrategy, both looking like they're coming down. You also have, I'm just going through each individual ticker on my list today, even a name like Shopify, which you can tell in the past 6 months is exhausted. This is very similar, not saying that this is going to be the same way, but it's very similar to the last top. If you look at this top and the last top, it's actually very similar. Not to say that this has happened because we don't wish that, but the reality kicks in. When I said this on the watch list a few times ago, but I'll continue to highlight this. I am not bullish on Shopify. I'm not bullish on names that have 2, 3x relatively super fast. That's just not the case. I'm not bullish on those names. I'm bearish on them. So in the short term, you could see some bearish movement in the market that presents you with a decent long-term buying opportunity, right? Some of the things that to which we've already covered. So, like even for example, Shopify, we're obviously bearish there. Next thing here is Tesla. Someone mentioned it, TSLA. But let's talk Tesla real quick. What's the level on Tesla that you should be watching and paying attention to? We're gonna see who's listening. What's the level on Tesla, great people? My people know it. Know it's about to come in that chat. 415. What's that level? What's the level? I'm looking for a level in the 300s. Thank you, Mandy. 383. There we go. Mike Brown, 383, 385. Correct. So right here, that low all the way back here from November, that's the level we should be paying most attention to. So here is the script for the next couple of weeks. We're going into the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. So you factor that in, right? Fed Reserve time. So now the Federal Reserve is getting ready to come out. Is JP going to give you the rate cut? Probably not. Is DT going to talk bad about him? You already know. So you know the answer to that. So what's going to be the key thing that leads earnings, right? What's going to push us up to the upside? Is anything really there that's going to push us up to the upside here? And to me, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what's the surprise? Because usually when earnings come out, and that's really how we can actually see, right? Is it is very, 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 very important. Earnings come out, you get your surprises. That's what sends stocks to the upside, is your earning surprises. Now, here in this case, I mean, to me, I'm looking even at the ARK ETF, right? And I mentioned this before. I don't anticipate ARK to do what it did last year. My thoughts is that if we get Tesla to pull back down underneath 383, it's going to sell pretty hard. So that's your area where you should be paying attention to the most. Of course, as well, Nvidia, you can't not pay attention to there. Currently at 178 bucks. There's only $14 left. What's the kill zone, y'all? What's the level on NVDA? What's the level on NVDA? What's the kill zone level? 163, 164, 100% right there. So we get underneath that 164, Nvidia starts to pull back and break down to 140. So this is why we covered it here so much, because if the worst happens, we don't, once again, we don't wish for the worst to happen, but we understand it can. So when you are looking and seeing here at this 164 on Nvidia, that could happen and pull us back down. Remember, the SMH is not right now pushing 400 because of NVDA. That's not the case. The reason why the SMH was pushing that was mainly because of MU, TSM, and as well AVGO, until AVGO obviously did what it did. But the main reason was MU was firing, right? That SMH ETF as well as TSM. Remember, NVIDIA hasn't done anything in 6 months, really since July. That was the last time NVIDIA really, outside of this little pop up we had here end of October, it hasn't given us anything. So now you're looking here and you're saying, well, man, even our best players, right? So all your best players are a little bit frozen right now, right? And Google obviously played their role in pushing up the XLC and the NASDAQ. They did their thing. But Google played obviously the role that they played, and so did MU. But now you're looking and you're finally seeing, right? You also have Apple obviously pulling here to the downside. You have your cloud computing stocks. You have Bitcoin underneath 90K again, right? Microsoft obviously sold off. You got CrowdStrike. And then as well, you have CRM, which is down there to a low, CRWD. And then you have CRM, which has came down, but you also have Zscaler and Snow. So Zscaler is currently here. I mean, this is obliterated. If we go from 340 to relatively 200 with no green candle, you got your ass kicked. Just reality. You got kicked pretty bad. So ZS, has came here to the downside and actually, slid down here pretty bad. So you do see CrowdStrike, which made a move here on the downside, which, obviously came here pretty quick. You got CRWD, which came down. And then as well, you got ZS, which came down as well too. So both of these names were bearish on. Snowflake. But remember, a lot of these, I mean, you look at Snow, where's the price you should be getting Snow at? What's the price you should be getting Snow at? What's the price you should be getting Zscaler at? Like some of these things we've highlighted and we touched 170 for both tickers, correct? Well, I mentioned them in unison. Thank you, Mr. Francois. So the selfish part of you should be saying, well, some of these stocks are going to be coming down to good levels and good valuations. We were talking about Oracle a bit earlier, right? Oracle, I mean, at 120, I don't think I wouldn't find somebody that say, yo, I'm going to buy this ticker. Stock that was once 340, which people were professing that this stock would go to 400 plus dollars a share at 120 bucks. Why wouldn't you buy it? And that's the biggest thing that I've realized is like when the market is going up, there's a bunch of cheerleading. When the market is going down, there's, it's like, you got to pass around. It's like, yo, you in service, you got to pass around the tissue. There's a lot of people that's crying. So you look in here, and so 60 bucks, 60 bucks drop. You erase these gains from June all the way to April of 2025. That puts it on the buy list. Once again, that puts it on the buy list. A lot of people ask and say, yo, what should I be doing? You should be buying, you should be purchasing, you should be picking up at those levels. Once again, price is right. So now you pick up and you're buying and you're purchasing at those levels because you understand what you're paying for. Even for example, here now on Hood, which is currently at about 105 bucks, I believe we closed at. Yeah, 105 bucks. We closed at. Even Robinhood. What's the price you need to get that at? 70 bucks. Discounts. Discounts. There we go. Before I can even finish, shout out to you guys that's in here. And shout out to the people that's coming in here every single time there's a Zoom watching the recordings, man. I cannot thank you guys enough. This is the true testament. So when the things that we discuss happen, it takes away really the panic, because in the moment, once again, you see blood, it's happening very fast, it's coming and hitting you. So I really wanted to stress this as a warning shot to people, right? Want to go and pull up the S&P 500 real quick, right? Because the SPY is currently at about 677. I posted some notes a little bit earlier today, but if we get underneath this 672, you'll be looking at like the area where some people have asked me where would I be nervous about would be 650. So you're still distance away from there. But as you guys know, that ground can get made up real quick and real fast. So you want to be mindful and you want to be careful if you are playing, if you are looking, particularly at those zones, you want to be mindful and be careful there. Right. So looking here, 677, how do you get there? Obviously, a lot has to do with Apple and Microsoft. You need to keep your eyes peeled there, but of course, as well, Nvidia. If Nvidia gets underneath 164, guys, I'm telling you this now, this market is going to take a huge drop. So that's the point that I'm very nervous about, right? That 14, we got $14 until Nvidia gets to those levels, right? NVDA gets to that level. So underneath this is, there's nothing stopping this going into 140s. So you can clip this up, you can save this, you can put this on your notes. If Nvidia breaks underneath 164, it is coming sharply to the downside. If the SPY gets underneath 650, it will come sharply down as well. So you are looking at both of these and saying, 650, 164, that's the area and the level you want to pay attention to the most. QQQ is right there at about 580. Right? So right here at about 580, which was the low from November. So you're still distance away from that. So I'm not saying this to spook anybody, but just to put that perspective out there for people so all right, these are the levels that I need to pay attention to the most. Remember, for a while, we were just trading side by side. We were not breaking this 626. So this is why we've seen in the past 4 or 5 months now, just this range bound action. And that's why a lot of when I showed you Shopify a little bit earlier, a lot of these tickers are now starting to get a bit tired and they're starting to roll over. And if that happens, that will cause a pullback, especially in names like Microsoft, Apple. If those names start pushing to the downside, even a name like CRM, don't sleep on that. CRM being down $7 and down here at 220. It's like, okay, you're seeing some aggressive selling there. CRM is not usually a name sometimes that gets sold off pretty heavy. Of course, you already know what's up with Coinbase and MicroStrategy. You got your Bitcoin still, obviously, nothing's changed there. 80K is the level. If BTC busts through that 80K, remember, it's still in this bear flag. So BTC is still right here within this bear flag. So if we break underneath that 80K, we're going to 74K. And you could clip this up too. This would be the last time that you're going to be able to get Bitcoin. This cycle will be the last time you get Bitcoin underneath 100K. I just want to warn people now. It isn't just to create a hot take or anything like that. That's the truth and the reality. This is the last time, cycle wise, come 2030, it won't be a Bitcoin underneath 100K. I'm just going to warn people about that right now because the next time Bitcoin runs, it's going to go to 175, maybe 200K, and it will never go below 100K again. So if you get it at 60, if you get it at 50, get it at 70, cool, because this will be the last time that will be, right? Because going into that next decade, there will not be a Bitcoin less than 100,000. Just like some people was playing around with this thing, thinking that Bitcoin to come, it's not even going back to 20 ever again. That's not happening. I made an argument that I don't see it going underneath 50, and that's my strong level. But I can guarantee it ain't going underneath 20. What that tells you is you need to smarten up. All of us, like I told people before, it'll be people selling their homes to get Bitcoin this year. I'm just telling you guys now, it's already happening. So BTC picking up Bitcoin, if this bear flag breaks, I might have a party, man. Like that's how excited I am if Bitcoin breaks this bear flag. Because once again, to get an asset for the last time below 100K, and I keep saying that because I just want people to understand how serious I am about that, how much I really do believe that you won't see a Bitcoin in the next decade underneath 100K. So that's just my thoughts on just, really overall market wise is, as things draw down, they present opportunities that once again, when we prepare, we know how to play. So I'm seeing, sitting back, observing, and want to see how things play out. One red day to not really have you all up in arms, right? And I want to commend the community for a second, right? I did not get one panic text today. No panic phone calls, no panic texts, nothing. No panic whatsoever. So that means that what people understand what the opportunity is. Everybody's like, all right, cool. Marcus pulling back, DT running his mouth, all of that good stuff. Everybody's prepared. So I do want to commend the community for that. I didn't get one phone call, nothing all day that was like, oh man, this is happening, blah, blah, blah. It was really some of the information that came across my screen today was really more so people just saying, hey, I see the opportunity. Thank you for preparing us, right? I'm looking to get in position. I mean, I think that's really the mindset to have. And I just want to commend the community for having that mindset. So when we prepare, it makes it easier to play. Because in the moment, once again, of course, we're looking at certain things dropping like, man, it's pulling back. But we've already prepared ourselves to say, you know what, this thing was probably trading where it shouldn't have been. And it's just really correcting now. So let's let it correct and then scoop in to pick up. So that really has to be the mindset, right? Went here. And I do love that that is the mindset, right? So that is the mindset. Really do appreciate that. And looking forward, like I said, I love seeing the growth from people. And I really just love seeing that. So appreciate everybody for being on tonight. Let's get some questions though. Let's get some questions. And I think we had a questions particularly about Boyle as well. But get your questions in because I'm gonna wrap this thing up so I can get some sleep and be up early. Get some questions in. Get your questions in. So yeah, as far as Boyle, you're looking here on the downside. Boyle obviously came down to about 15, 16 bucks. So right now it's currently at about 22. Natural gas tends to run during these winter months, especially when it gets pretty cold outside. Also anticipate commodities running more, right? I don't think silver and gold are done. I also don't think other commodities are done. So that's just really my thoughts on Boyle for this time. Excited for Hood, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm definitely excited for Hood. Yeah, too many. Two to me. Formulate my question. Is gold and silver too high to buy in long term? I would not chase those. I think they're great trading instruments now. Ticker AVGO right now needs to stay above 325. So needs to get if it gets below 325, it's going to drop to about 316. Yep. Let me check these. See SoFi Technologies. SoFi is still technically in this bull flag, but it invalidates it below 23 bucks. All right, so below 23 bucks is going to invalidate this level. $23 below $23 will invalidate it. Growth stocks obviously sell off first. So just my thoughts there. Netflix, man, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, 55. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, 55. And it's not once we break 800, well, $80, pretty much used to be 800. Once we get below that, I'm gonna warn people here now. Netflix is not gonna take much time to really start moving down because after 80, this $80 drop, it's night time. So Netflix would be to me a generational buy at 55, $50, right? Like that's the type of buy to set up. That's like getting Netflix the same way you saw it here at those low levels. So really pay attention, really lock in and listen to what I'm telling you. Guys, please, please, please do it, man. Because I've been stressing it. I'm trying to make sure that you guys take advantage of that. This is why we've highlighted as much as we have. Need you guys scooping this stock at those levels. Please, please, please pay attention. Get that stock at those levels. Lock in with me. It's game time. So appreciate everybody for once again being on here tonight. Very appreciative. We're going to wrap this thing up. We'll be back on tomorrow. Like I said, I want to commend the community for being attentive. Once again, having your notes ready. And once again, when we're prepared for the worst, you're already ready. So some of the things we've discussed are now happening and some of them may continue to happen. So it's just a reality. Yep. I'll go ahead and repost this recording for you guys, and you'll hear from me ASAP tomorrow. Make sure you guys look in the Discord for the morning report so we make sure you guys are good to go. Appreciate you.